Hey guys, Inorganic Pixel here today, just playing a little Calico. This is actually my second game as Calico. Another thing about this gameplay you're going to see here today is this is actually a build that I made specific to Calico, and I want to talk a little bit about this update. What a better time to do it besides during a pause right now. So what they changed big time was middle. Mid has now been really revamped and almost like in a way expanded, given a lot more cover, a lot more opportunities to flank, find different routes to the other points as well as to mid boss itself. I'm going to just quickly showcase also how mid boss has been changed dramatically as well. Mid boss, as far as the changes it's seen, it's really more visual stuff. I think we're kind of entering that phase of the game right now where Valve seems very confident about the middle part, or at least the mid boss part of how that would flow in terms of its geometry, in terms of its architecture. A big part of what they changed though with mid, and I also think with mid bosses as well, is to make it a lot more visually understanding where to go, how to get to the treasure room. So as you see there, that ladder that now you used to take it to the B, or at least the blue part near your guardian and whatnot, it has a little more room now, a little bit more I guess visual language, a little bit more of a visual language to communicate a direction or flow it wants you to go into. And mid boss just looks really great. I really like the look and feel of mid boss. It really definitely feels very arcane and also very like mythical, very like I guess New York also definitely inspired as well. But I guess we're still not finalized on a lot of the final visual aspects of mid boss or even the map itself. Specifically with middle though, and we'll show a lot more of middle when it comes to, or at least blue lane when it comes to the actual gameplay itself today. But I wanted to kind of just maybe give my thoughts as to why they're doing this with the blue lane part of the map itself. They've really only really changed the actual middle part of blue lane, as you can see here in this video. But I think the main reason is because they wanted to kind of slow down the fighting, and they want to kind of slow down the speed at which laning happens for certain lanes. I assume also that they're probably going to be doing this to the other two lanes as well. I can't imagine that they're only going to keep middle to where it's, or at least blue lane, where it's the only one that gets this like larger scale update or this larger scale change, revamp, and stylization. So let's just get right into it. Let's just dive right into the fight here, and we'll kind of showcase a little bit more of the blue lane and the middle as well throughout the match here. We already have blue lane. Nice. Pause lock, awesome. Gotta love that. We're gonna skip ahead that. We already have like access to blue or middle right now because another pause because we spawned in, and as you can see here, there's this little like kind of half pipe area where you can kind of do a lot of sliding. You can also slide down to go towards the boss room within the actual blue lane itself. To get to the boss room now, it's a bit of a spiral staircase or a bit of a windy path to get all the way down there. But there's a lot more options for cover, a lot more options for getting away from a certain immediate fight. Also, this bridge at the very top has been widened and expanded. They've gotten rid of that whole clutter when it comes to like, you know, that like aerial aspect of blue lane, especially the middle part of blue lane and everything. I think Flash players rejoice, but also keep in mind that bridge is now, I think, wide enough to where a single leap is not going to get you right over it immediately. It's also not going to give you a lot of access to get huge lash alts. So, you know, there's a lot of cover now to basically negate certain abilities or to give players a lot more options to defend themselves from certain abilities, like a lash alt, even like a Talon Bird, or I'm trying to think of other ones that are more AoE. Sorry for our Mirage there, by the way. We're getting a little heated in this game. After 3 pauses immediately, it could really do something to a man. But I also want to talk a little bit about even some of the other updates or other aspects of this I guess update that came out that changed a lot of the characters. I guess Calico received a bit of a nerf. To be honest with you, this is the second time I'm ever playing Calico, so if I play like a total idiot, that's why. I also am trying to build something new with a Calico build, and honestly, as you can see here, I don't think my build is really that good. But I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper more into the video itself. There's also been some other nerfs to other characters as well, and also some nerfs to certain abilities and items like Rescue Beam. Thankfully, that one was needed because Rescue Beam was very good and very, very abused at a certain point. As far as like theories around what the next aspects of these updates might lead to, I guess I do anticipate that they're going to be changing green and yellow lane as dramatically as they did with blue here. I guess we're really entering a phase where I think Valve understands the overall combat, how the players perceive its combat, and also how those players utilize its abilities to, have fights happen, negate fights, get away from fights, etc., etc. So I think as far as what we're going to see here with the rest of these lanes, I imagine the map is probably going to get a little bit bigger. These lanes might have a lot more cover areas, a lot more options, a lot more terms of ways of like avoiding a fight or getting out of an ult or out of a tricky situation. Currently, the yellow and green lane, compared to blue right now specifically, feel a lot less covered. You feel a lot more exposed out in the open. You feel there's definitely a lot less of an option to escape the fight or your opponents if need be. I guess the only curiosity now though is that will green and yellow lane be similar in terms of symmetry, in terms of identity? Will they kind of have the same ebb and flow that they do right now, or will green and yellow have this interesting kind of dynamic where green's a bit more open, spacious, and yellow might be a bit more claustrophobic? I don't know. These are just some thoughts that I have in terms of after this previous update here. I definitely feel like these map changes are to do two things. Number one is streamline access and also understand readability of where things are at within the map and how to get to certain things in the map. I definitely remember when this new update came out, a lot of new players really struggled with finding how to get to the mid-boss room. It was not very clearly indicated, and it was also a little convoluted to figure out, which I understand. And I think that this update is going to bring a lot more panache, a lot more abilities, and a lot more capabilities of hiding and bringing fights into different vectors or different levels of the map itself. I want to kind of take a step away from talking about the map anymore. I feel I've done that enough, and I also want to take a step away from talking about any of the character changes that have happened because you could just read about that or play through it. It'd be kind of silly for me to sit here and go line by line about each change that's happened to each character here. I want to talk a little bit about some things that I think Valve kind of got wrong with this update, or things that are a little goofy. I guess I'm curious to see what will be done about them in the future. You're going to notice a few of those things come up a lot throughout this video if you're a seasoned Deadlock player. Nice little bounce movement right there from Calico. Nice job. So one thing that they changed was that when enemy players or when you die, you no longer spawn souls when you die. You still drop that wallet of of unsecured souls will come out. But back in the day, when you would get killed or when tower would go down, similar to how the minions do right here in this example, they have those little souls that come out. Now players will not be doing that. So this list of Krill was a little too devious, honestly. That Calico ult though, thankfully came in pretty clutch. I don't know how that Talon Bird really, whatever. It was a really ridiculous fight. Going back to what I was saying a minute ago, though, so they got rid of the souls that come out of players after they're killed, and I honestly am not super sure as to why that is. My guess is to streamline the souls or the AP aspect of Deadlock specifically. So I guess when players would die and have the souls come out, it might have been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of a fight to see who can secure those souls or steal those away from the opponent or whatever. I'm curious as to why they did this. I wonder if if the amount of souls that would come out after a player death was really enough to totally turn the tide of combat, or if it was really more of an optimization thing. I guess we'll never really truly know. I am not a big fan of it because I think it takes away a little bit of Deadlock's identity as a game and also as a world. Like, when Mo just died right there, I don't know. I feel like there should have been a little bit more something else to that. Mo just falling over and taking a nap kind of seems a little boring or a little, uninspired. If the reason they took away the souls after a player death was for a balancing reason, I can understand that. However, I do think this will be my one criticism, my one critique. If any Valve employees listening to this part of the video, I think that if when players get killed, there should be at least some kind of visual motif or visual aspect to that. There should be either some type of a soul or some type of a maybe animation or some type of a kind of effect that plays after a player's death to really confirm that. Because in that example that you just saw with Mo Krill, I mean, you could argue that he might not actually not even be dead unless unless he came up on the kill feed and whatnot. I'm going to come here and try to help capitalize on this Infernus grab. This Mo Krill's been getting great grabs, but this Talon's been getting a lot better with the birds. So unfortunately, I just really couldn't capitalize on it. I feel kind of bad. I just... If anyone is listening, and I'd be curious to see if anyone who's watching this video, how they feel about this, I really feel like there should be a soul of some sort that comes out. Now, does that have to be a soul where you can shoot it down and negate the AP from the enemy players or whatever? It doesn't necessarily have to be that. I think it would be kind of interesting to see maybe play around with the idea of like different animated souls that populate. Who knows? That could be something that Valve could sell in the marketplace. Basically when you die, you have a really interesting like GIF or animated soul thing that pops up. I just think that having that additional confirmation does two things. Number one, it makes the game a lot more readable to the external viewer. So if someone who is not very familiar with Deadlock is watching this game happen in real time, they can see that. They can see someone die, and then their soul comes up, and that obviously confirms and gives a clear visual indication as to that this player has been killed or died in some way. The second thing too is that I think it gives a bit of Deadlock its personality. It's a shame that went away for player characters. I can understand that it might be more of a balancing thing because also they got rid of that aspect with like Guardians and Walkers. To be transparent though, that was always a big issue because frankly, if you're on defense, it's always kind of harder to secure your souls that come up after those Guardians or Walkers go down, especially if you're underneath a Walker. But as far as for the players itself, I really would like some kind of a visual indication that with the use of a soul type, like a visual element or visual language that confirms that. That's just me personally. I'd be curious what anyone else thinks about that. I miss it. I personally, that's one thing I really miss about this new update. And it's one of the few times where I'm almost like, is Valve getting a little too streamlined for its main core player base? Like, are we... Oh, this bird is absolutely devious, but guess what? No, you don't get to kill me with that bird. I actually get to ult, and I get the spirit thing for free anyways. See you later, nerd. What was I saying there, actually? At least I'll leave it at that. I think that I would love to have some kind of a soul visual aspect. This is really coming from more of the visual or design focus, I guess, criticism that I have with this newest update with Deadlock. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'd be curious. I feel like I'm not alone on this, though. I do feel like other players probably miss that a bit as well. And I imagine Valve did it, though, for more of a balancing aspect, which I could totally respect and understand. But I don't know if they considered the visual aspect of it when they pulled that trigger on that. And yeah, we're just gonna just get a little bit into the gameplay here in a minute. I think the last thing I'll comment on that I'm not a big fan about with this update is the cheating death icon. What the hell? I like the old one way more. The old one looks awesome. Why would you make it this corny little coffin thing? I was definitely talking about a minute ago how I think the game might be getting a little too streamlined for its own good, and I think that definitely can kind of rear its head with how Blue Lane has changed, as well as the whole Souls aspect. I think they're trying to make a lot of changes to where when new players give this game a shot, they're not totally like left out of the loop, or they're not totally SOL or confused on where certain things exist. I mean, you have to understand with Deadlock is a very, very fast-paced and hard-to-read game at times, which is what makes it so interesting for the players that really stick around with it. But if they want to encourage new players, it's a little tough. I really wish that Moker would have called out that he grabbed that talent, because I would have probably done something a bit closer to that. I'm going to try to capitalize on this talent here. I don't want to go for a punch, because I knew that was coming up. I had a feeling, I had a suspicion, but as far as like getting too streamlined here and everything, at a certain point, though, there has to be Valve has to realize that there has to be a bit of a pushback to players who want something that's way too streamlined. I think one thing that's really great about Deadlock is that there's a lot that comes to the game itself that is very easy to pick up and learn. It's one of those games where the movement and the overall abilities are very easy to understand and also comprehend as far as mechanically. But I think the issue, though, that like newer players might have is understanding how to use those and when to use those in terms of the pacing of the combat. I think, and the only really way to fix that, in my opinion, I think is still around the this Infernus could knock it away here. But I really wish I had my all here because this talent I think gets my ass pretty hard. I think that the best way to get newer players to understand this game is to, number one, just play with other newer players, and number two, again, that bot experience would be very helpful. Other game mode experiences, I've always talked about that before in the past. We're still not just that. We're just not there yet in terms of a game as far as Deadlock. They're still trying to refine and also comb through a lot of the other quirks and aspects of this game that I think the existing players really love, but we have to also consider those newer players. And I worry, though, that there might be some elements that where I just hope that Valve doesn't overexceed their hand a bit with that. I worry that became a case with the whole Souls denial thing when it came to killing enemy players and whatnot. I think that the need to streamline is absolutely critical, but I also don't want them to streamline it to the point where they're losing too much of their identity. I think that there are some other examples that I'll showcase here in a minute where they are also maybe tweaking some of the mechanics of other aspects or other items or other components of this game as well. So we're still just in a very big wait and see moment again with Deadlock. I feel like a broken record saying that every video I post, but that's just such a huge case about Deadlock itself. Players really want to comment and criticize and also get to the point as to what is going on with this game and what makes it so good, and also what elements of it could kind of suck. This Talon bird, this Talon is all over me this whole game with this bird. I'm getting sick of it. And I just hope, though, that when it comes to streamlining, that they don't overexceed it and they don't kind of do it to a point where Deadlock loses its kind of hardcore edge to it. I guess Deadlock is definitely a game that is geared more towards the hardcore MOBA or hero shooter audience, and if by streamlining it, my worries is that they're gonna just make it to where anyone can play this game, and I really don't think that's gonna be the case ever. I don't think this is a game that anyone can pick up and play, but if you do sit down and play it, you really uncover its absolute insane ability, its insane beauty, its insane movement and customization, and its insane player expression and teamwork component. So we'll see. I mean, it all really just depends. Those are all components that really worry a lot of developers, because it's hard to gauge how other players, when working together or when communicating with one another, will perceive those same core tenets and everything. I mean, look at a game like TF2. To get the science down to where that game functions as it does, as a game within its own community, within its players, within an average match, is really a work of black magic. So, I mean, if anyone could do it, it's definitely Valve. I just worry, though, that I'll say this one last time. I just don't want the Deadlock to lose its identity. I want Deadlock to remain Deadlock, and I want it to remain hardcore, and I want it to remain something where it's fun to pick up and play, but if you want to master it, if you truly want to sit down and get to the absolute core bones of Deadlock, it's one of the more rewarding experiences. And by streamlining it too much, I just, that could lead to issues in the long run. But we'll have to see how that all pans out, I guess. I'm done talking about the update with Deadlock here. The rest of this video is just going to be talking about me playing Calico. This build with Calico is really interesting. And I'm also trying to figure out how to make my own builds. Like I said before, I always typically just go with whatever the big browser recommends as far as the best builds or the marketplace or the best builds that other players are using. So the way I kind of started off with this build is that I just took one that already existed, and then I went ahead and adjusted it to where what I thought was kind of Calico's main components. And the way I'm visualizing how I play Calico is essentially I'm playing her like a cat at all times. Calico is just always running around, causing chaos, causing mayhem, destroying shit, getting into fights and beating the hell out of people, throwing her poop everywhere. That's typically what cats do. And with the build that I have here that I showed on screen just a minute ago, a lot of it is built around where Calico, when she's not in cat form, also still has the insane movement that she normally has within cat form. Her cat form, clearly in this video you're seeing right now, is extremely fast, is extremely ridiculous. When I made this build, I went with the sole intention of this is a movement build. This is a build where it's all about me getting into fights quickly and into fights out of fights also very quickly. And just not really too much combat focus, not too much spirit focus. And I think in a weird way, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if this build is really it, Chief. I think making builds is so complicated for me personally because I don't really understand how it's gonna like formulate or work with other characters' builds or other players and everything. That Vindicta got that nice parry on me, man. I've been getting parried like crazy as of late, so that's fine. Though we're just keeping Vindicta at bay there, and. As far as the build that I went with Calico here, it's fun to play. I definitely think that my build is a lot of fun to play. I just don't, unfortunately, think that it's what my teammates want from Calico. I think my teammates would prefer to have Calico as some kind of a tank-killing machine where she's just strong and hard to kill. I think my Calico's hard to kill, but more or less hard to kill because she doesn't want to get into a fight. She just runs away immediately once something kind of breaks down a little bit. So I don't know. That's just each his own here. I'm gonna kind of go through the rest of this footage here and kind of talk a bit more about what I'm doing as far as the game here goes. We're kind of defending this urn. We also have a lot of map control here. So this urn is kind of a critical point here. I think we could. I really don't think it's necessary for us to absolutely. I don't think it's necessary for us to like just push like crazy. And then here's me using my ult just to get the hell out of there. Like again, going back to what I was saying earlier with how I built this thing. Like that was a fight. That was a situation in where that Warden and that Vindicta could have easily staked me and then just absolutely destroyed me there. And I was just like, I don't want to be in this fight. I want to out. Just get me away from this. We seem to have gotten the urn just now, and now it looks like the fight's going to ensue here because we're going to attempt to turn it in. I'm going to kind of just stay near the urn drop-off just to act as like a second round of defense or a second urn carrier if need be. This is where I think Deadlock shines the most. We somehow, I guess the urn with Lash. I wasn't really watching. I was really more or less paying attention with the actual defense aspects. I'm getting the backline here with Calico, and dude, that knockdown was pretty vicious. I use Calico a lot to just get behind enemy lines and then just cause absolute chaos and mischief. Unfortunately, we get staked there pretty hard, and this freaking Warden ult, man. That Warden ult just, I don't know, wrong place, wrong time. We got the urn, though, so in my eyes, it's a win. We're going to go ahead and just watch, let's see what happens with Lash here. Lash just gets caged pretty hard. I can't believe Warden's still ulting, by the way. And Magician pops the rabbit there, so I think that turned the Vindicta into a rabbit. No, excuse me, Shiv. That's honestly, it was one of those characters that's really great to have as rabbit. Magician is also another character that I've been playing a little bit as of late as well. I'm trying to figure him out as also. And he was a character who originally I wanted to make a build for. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just sit down and try to make a Magician build. And I was like, I also don't really understand how to play Magician at all, period, to even begin working on a build. So I think I understand how Calico's abilities work, and I think I also understand how Calico's movement and also Calico's kind of positioning works within the game. I don't think I understand, though, what items to pick for the best maximize her abilities with my teammates is the main issue. And we're back in here. We're going to the green lane. I'm going to go help the Smoke Krill. As you can see on the map right now, we have a pretty substantial amount of map control here. This green walker here is also pretty low. So honestly, Mo Krill and I could Mo Krill and I, yes, that's grammatically correct. Could just kind of get this here real quick if we kind of push up here. I find that also one thing about my build, or one thing about Calico, is that she's really, really great at going into the back lines or clearing up those like farm lanes or those minion waves and whatnot. I really do not want to be hit by this bird right now, so I ult right there. This bird, that Talon really wants me with his bird, but he's not getting it. I refuse to give it to him. And, here's me again, just starting a fight, chipping away at damage, causing chaos, wasting abilities, and then just getting the hell out of dodge. I'm trying to get back in here, though, to help my teammates a bit, missing every single shot on that Shiv right there. Oh, man, that Shiv really wanted me there with his ult. Thankfully, my teammates all kind of came in clutch here, and we got rid of that Shiv and Viper with Flash ult there. So that was very well played. This Warden ult, though, is going nuts. So we're going to go cat form. Just get in the back line a little bit. Just get away from, get out of dodge, and then just kind of swoop in on the last second. and get that kill. Calico for me is just very much a last second. Like I'll just come in right at the very end, right at the very last second of a fight, and then just kind of swoop in and get a kill. I mean, I feel like that's what cats would do. If a cat was playing this video game, that's probably what their main modus of operatus would be. Would just just be kind of annoying for your teammates. Just kind of be like, oh, this is actually my kill. I deserve this more than you guys. Too bad. Deal with it. One thing with Calico, just to talk about her as a character, she's honestly, her design is amazing, and I also love Ava as well. Ava representation all the way. I like cats like that, the little weird like chicken, like raw chicken type of cat that exists. I think honestly though, if I was to get a Calico build, a punch Calico build could do some serious damage. Cats punch a lot. Cats are very constantly punching one another. What's funny too is that going back to Magician specifically, the way I kind of play Magician is a very support orientated. I like to use Rescue Beam quite often to get my teammates full, and also to make sure that fights are a little bit easier, kind of negating and debuffing the enemy team, everything. Our teammates are also commenting about what we should do next as far as the next steps here. It looks like we're going to go ahead and try to commit to mid here. I think mid commitment is always one of those things where you never want to do it alone. You really want to have your team with you. And I guess we're going to go ahead and get started on doing mid here. I don't know why my Mokrill is not doing anything. He's just sitting. Oh, I guess that's just to take damage? That's a weird move. I've never seen that before. I would prefer him just to be fighting and stuff, but that's interesting. So like it looks like the mid boss just like kind of like just beaming on his dick there with Mokrill inside of him like that. Whatever. I guess it works. Mid boss fights are always so weird to me mainly because I don't really understand how the mid boss itself works. So we're gonna go ahead and just, I guess, get this urn. No one stops us here. I think the urn timing, like the way the Reju falls, might have been adjusted a little bit also within this update. I could be totally wrong about that. That one just fell very quick. And one thing with my build, the way I'm doing my build as well is I'm just using it mainly for ult. I like to think that I'm using my ult as a movement ability, as an ability to just more or less not do damage, but more or less just to move behind or get away out of fights quicker. And I love how you can carry Urn as the Ava here, by the way. That's really beneficial. Even though for some reason it definitely feels like you're a lot slower when you're carrying it as Ava, but I like carrying it as Ava because it just gives me a little bit more of an option to just avoid getting spotted. And that was a great example of how to use Calico's ult right there. Those guys were just really too focused on get a killer, quick, killer, go. They could have just been punching me instead to get me to drop the urn, but they didn't get that in time. And just in the nick of time too, I just popped my ult there and got away out of that. So that was pretty impressive here. There's some definitely impressive plays with Calico, and I think that's largely because of the build, but I don't, like I said before, I just don't think that this build is really geared towards helping my teammates as much as I would really hope it would. Mainly because I'm just in fights alone way too much, and then on top of that, I'm so weak. You just saw me right there get shredded very quickly by that Shiv. So I just do not understand the theology or the ideas around how to make a build and what makes a good build for certain characters and why. So, I mean, we're kind of nearing the end of the match here and everything. This has been a whole game where we've just had constant map control the whole time. It really isn't really about souls. I definitely would say it's a lot more about the deaths here. I've noticed that a lot of newer players have been joining as of late with these updates. Typically when these updates come out, that's typically when like newer players will hop in here and give the game a shot, just to see what the new update's like and just kind of see what the game kind of finalization looks like. It will be interesting to see when this game finally does come out, who will be playing and why. And I guess for me, I'm still playing personally just because the core gameplay is so goddamn good that it's like impossible for me to put down. Like even with this like busted Calico build that I'm running here, I just couldn't stop. I just had to get another one in me. I had to get a win in me. I had to get a game where I popped off or something in it. And I have not experienced that with a game in a very long time. I'm not with my teammates right now. I should be. I'm being a cat. I'm just going ahead and just getting the farm in the background there. And we're just too strong. I think at this point now, though, we're just like two in their base and stuff. I've noticed that now when you have rejuve at this point in the game, it basically kind of means you've won the match for the most part, unless your teammates are a lot more coordinated to avoid just feeding into these like fights right now. I think that was the big issue with the enemy team here is that they just kept feeding one at a time with these certain fights that popped up here. So yeah, we have the patron going down here at this point. Again, here I don't know why this Viper's all the way out here. And yeah, so I think if you are watching this and if you ever wondered why the enemy team's losing, keep that in mind. It's mainly because people are feeding at the wrong time. It's very easy to feed in this game, or it's very easy to like just go one at a time within these fights. And avoiding that is very, very hard to do, but it's a very crucial component to the actual aspects of how to get better at Deadlock here. I'm like 50 HP, and I die right as the game ends, so technically that death didn't count. That death was what was my KD ratio here? Can we get the stats real quick? Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and like and subscribe if you like these videos and everything. I appreciate you guys sticking around and leaving comments. Deadlock's a lot of fun, and I am really, really excited just to be a very small part of this community. So thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.